Well, I am Andrew Corrales, one of the co-owners, founders of Vanessa House Beer Company. We started back in 2016. That feels like yesterday and also 72 years ago at the same time. It's weird how that feeling is, where it's just yesterday, but I don't know. It's also a long time at the same time. So we're excited to kind of get in, talked about like pushing boundaries, doing new things. We've been jumping in and playing in that smoothie style Berliner Weiss, right? So it's an unfermented fruit sour that a lot of people will know of, like 450 North and 903 that have gotten into those and made that style kind of popular. Um, and it's we've been working on it for probably 3 or 4 months, maybe a little bit longer, just doing very small batch, limited tap room release on that. And partly because it's unfermented fruit, and that's kind of like the cardinal rule of beer. Is like you don't put unfermented liquid into a can, but kind of the other, in my opinion, one of the other cardinal rules of craft beer is don't necessarily always follow the rules, right? So pushing boundaries, doing different things. So we've been working on that, and we're finally comfortable with the science where we're ready to package it in 6 packs and kind of launch it as a new brand. This first release will be taproom only still, but before we were running out in a day or two with the small batches we were doing and selling it only in crowlers. So, but now we'll do a full 15 barrel batch with cans to go. And specifically for the release, we're planning to release it on February 12th. It's Valentine's Day's made sense. We're going to put together it's going to be 2 versions. The brand is called Slush Fund, and then they'll have the sub brand. So it'll be Slush Fund Cherry Cobbler and Slush Fund Raspberry Truffle will be the first one that we release for Valentine's Day. And there'll be like gift packs available where you can split between 3 and 3 of the beers, and then 2 special glasses. And we're looking to work with some local folks on some sort of a sweet, whether some sort of candy. We haven't figured that part just out yet, but just something fun to enjoy with your significant other or by yourself on Valentine's Day, which is probably what I will do. But that's such as life of owning. Our first beers were brewed by other folks. The very first batches were actually brewed in Missouri by O'Fallon. We were over there at the Brewers Union with Angry Scotsman and Elk Valley. And I think we were all there for almost the exact same amount of time before we moved out. But yeah, we moved from that area to our location, which you can see behind me. I'm actually not sitting outside, obviously, but it's 118 Northwest 8th Street there in Oklahoma City. The Automobile Alley District is where we're at. It's been a fun ride. We opened with our 401k, our cream ale. That's by far our most popular beer today still. It gets its name after, where we all came from. We're just 5 friends who wanted to do something special, wanted to do something fun. None of us came from the industry, so we pulled from our 401ks to pull this thing, put this thing together and get it going. And, here we are, 4 years later with an actual facility. Luckily, that beer went over well enough. We were able to get some banks on board, some investors on board to help us build out the facility here on 8th and Broadway. We've grown from doing the 1 beer year round to now we have 5 beers that we produce consistently year round. 401k, Broken Tiles, the next one that most people know and remember. Our 1109 is a Blackberry Berliner Weiss. It's also very popular. Destination Wedding is a relatively new entrant into into those core beers. That's our Mexican style cerveza. And then lastly, and this is even newer than that, we started working with the franchise radio station, and we do a collaboration beer with them that's out all the time called Commercial Free. And it's a Czech style Pilsner, super easy drinking. Our core beers kind of have a common theme of being pretty light and easy drinking. In February, we will have Beatbox. It's a kind of this new vegan food truck. They've been out a few times, and people really love them. They plan to be out every Friday in February. Outside of that, food-wise, we kind of have a partnership type of deal with Packards. We have QR codes on our tables where you can order from Packards, and they'll run it down to the brewery. And we also have Hideaway basically right across the street. And that's probably the most popular thing. People will come in, have a beer, order Hideaway from their phones, and then walk over, pick it up when it's ready, and walk it back over. So, long term, I would like to be able to send this out through distribution in some way, shape, or form. But there is unfermented fruit. If we keep it in house, we can control it and make sure it's not firing back up and cans exploding and all that type of stuff. So yeah, for those that don't know, me and my partners, we've known each other since we were kids for the most part. We met Nick while we were at the University of Oklahoma, and while we were there, we lived at a house on Vanessa Drive there in Norman. So that was always where we started and where we ended. It's like, well, let's meet up at the Vanessa house before we go do X, Y, or Z. Or if we were out doing at a football game or just out running around, let's go and close it up at the Vanessa house or whatever, play video games or have a few more beers or whatever. And coming up with a name for a brewery, we all know that it's probably exploded, tenfold since 2016 when we launched, of how many breweries there are. So finding names was always pretty difficult, and we would brainstorm and we would come up with names that either the morning after we would think, wow, that was really dumb, we had too much to drink, or two, that name is taken, but look, when we would start those nights, they would usually degrade. And remember that time at the Vanessa house or this time at the Vanessa house, and one day it just kind of clicked. Vanessa House Beer Company, that's who we are. And an added bonus, if your name's Vanessa, you're usually pretty interested and you come in and try something. So, but that's how we came up with that name.